And you're on.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Access Astrology. This is where three astrologers meet on the internet here gather with you, and we look at your charts. We talk about what's going on in the heavens. We allow you to access astrology. My name is Ann Ortley. I'm an astrologer in New York and Florida. Right now, I'm in Florida, and I am joined by my friends, Mark Woltz. Mark?
Hi, I'm up here in New York. Anne was just here, and now she's in Florida.
hmm Just for
With
3 days, and then I'm
just for
heading back. Yeah.
you just get trying to warm up a little,
Yeah, trying to warm
Yeah,
up a little.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That,
and then
because it's
the
not warm in New York. I gather it's flooding in New York, and we'll talk a little bit about the wacko weather.
yeah.
This
hmm
is Heather Rowan Robbins from Ronan, Montana, where yesterday it was 98 degrees. Today it's 53 degrees
Oh,
and snowing up in the mountains. And
Okay.
it is, we have wild weather conditions. If you look at the rest of the country, it's all bright red and it's blue right over our state at the moment, a downshift from Canada, the same downshift that's bringing terrible smoke into the Great Lakes area, I gather. But that's
hmm
Saturn Neptune. There is floods in
mm,
New York, floods all over the East Coast, floods in the South. They said there's been over 4,000 flash floods this year so far,
Wow.
and there's
Wow.
normally 1,000 in a year, maybe, and not that fast. These are really
mhm,
bad ones.
Well,
And
it's
that,
mhm,
Saturn. He's fast
mhm.
and speedy and mean. And Neptune, he's hanging out with the Neptune's going, make the waters go. And also,
And
one
Aries,
of the
like
features,
fierce.
yeah,
Yes,
the other feature is they're stopping. Like part of the problem with the
exactly.
Kerrville flood is it came up from the south and it came from the west and it stopped over Kerrville. And
Right.
it was
mhm,
kind of like, and that was where the two eclipses met over that. It was like
hmm
X marks
hmm
the spot.
I
But
saw that
there's
was really interesting.
yeah, they're stationing, and so then they really dump rain, a big chunk of it. We had a lot of
mhm,
flooding in New Jersey yesterday.
Mm,
So,
yeah,
and
and
the
and the
subways were like a gush. People were
mhm.
standing on the seats because the inside of the subway train was soaking wet. Yeah.
That's New Yorkers, though. Hey, I'll just hang from the ceiling till it gets over.
Right.
We'll make do. But yeah, and that the stationary weather systems are also causing. There's floods in Pakistan, Afghanistan, China.
Mm-hmm.
Only in China they mobilize so quickly because it's a communist country, that then they didn't have to argue about it. That everybody was okay. Here, here it's a little bit more problematic. It's really exposing some interesting illusions. But I think it's that stationary weather, the Saturn
yeah,
Neptune, that we have great droughts. So there's fires all over parts of Europe. I saw an interesting um, documentary on the 1666 fires in London, and it hit in September, but Saturn and Neptune had been conjunct all summer in Capricorn, and there was a terrible drought, which is
mhm,
why the
Mm-hmm.
whole city was dry, which is why it all caught fire. So
Mm-hmm.
that Saturn Neptune can really, has wacko weather because they get things stationed, they get
Yeah.
stuck.
You get stuck and it doesn't move, and
Hmm
it does extremes too.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked if you're okay, and I wanted to say that Anne is fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's just exhausted from flying today.
I'm lying in bed in my apartment in Florida.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can see my view. That's why I'm in bed. It's very nice. I can look out the window and see things. But yeah, I laid down to take a nap and I thought about am I gonna get up? I thought,
Mhm.
no, I'm just gonna lay here and do the show laying down. So I'm
mhm,
fine. I'm just you can see my pillow, you can see my headboard. All
Ugh,
good. There's the
all
art
good.
above my bed.
Oh,
All good. Yeah.
good, good. We just care and love and miss
Yeah.
and worry. So
hmm
today the moon is in Pisces.
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 hmm And it is it posed Mars earlier today,
hmm
just about the time that the angry waters flooded through the New York subways. And I am really enjoying this Mercury in Leo. It's
hmm hmm
the people are telling stories. They're telling me all of their stories. It's lovely.
hmm
Now you look at the news and you see people telling horrible stories and believing their stories instead of looking for facts, which is upsetting. But I think that's also part of the Neptune issues.
Yeah,
What are
yeah.
you seeing, Anne and Mark, as far as the key issues for this week that people need to be aware of?
couple things. Mercury's on a world point, right, which
Mhm.
is big, and Mars is about to dive. Mercury on a world point in Leo,
Mhm.
ruling the Gemini planets and the Virgo planets, and Mars is about to dive into the node of fate, which
Mhm.
happens every 2 years. It dives into that south node, but south node's a big releasing energy, and we're building up this week to this big release. So we'll see what it is, and we're in a waning phase, meaning we're heading towards a new moon in Leo. Um, so as we go through this process of directional pull, really is the way I
Mhm.
like to
Mhm.
think about it, is we're kind of in a hard space. And there's a big hammer of Thor forming with the moon using Mercury and Juno, which is our partnering energy. So we're blowing up partnerships. Relationships are dying. I mean, can't tell you how many people are texting and going, "I just got fired. I just like loss, loss, loss." But it's the loss to rebirth once the Mars goes into that south node. So
And
I'm
this
just
whole year,
looking.
I think that everybody is dealing with 5 planets changing signs. We're
Yeah,
really at a turning of an era.
yeah,
And, years from now, we're gonna look back on this year and go, "Oh my god, all the things that ended and begun."
and begin right. But
Right.
right
So
now
kind
we're in, and right now we're ending. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
if you feel things starting to blow away, just get out of the way, let them blow.
mhm,
Hmm.
mhm, absolutely. Mercury turns retrograde on Thursday.
Yep.
Um, so good luck on your board meeting. You said you were down for a board meeting.
Yeah, I know.
That's, you know,
On
communication.
an Aries moon, I didn't pick it. I have to say, I didn't pick it. It was chosen for me, and as
Uh-huh.
Mercury stations in Aries, yeah, I'm like it's gonna be. And then
Mhm.
one of the guys wrote, "We're gonna record this." I'm like, "Yeah, we probably should because we're not gonna remember what we said."
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
And we might have to go over it again later.
yeah,
Uh, again, that's the stationary. Remember this week, it kind of think like the storms. If you spin too far, you're going to spin in place and may not get very far. If you hold still or you kind of align yourself, it can be a beautiful week. I find Mercury station is a wonderful time to meditate, to hold still, to reposition. And then, Mercury moving fast backwards is happier than Mercury stationary as far as getting anything
Mhm.
done.
Right, right.
But it's
Yeah,
going to be interesting.
yeah. It's not shaping up to be a great fun time, which is okay. That's part of the
Venus.
day, and I think we just have to, because now the other thing to remember is Saturn and Neptune have stopped moving forward. I always think of this as like the film broke. If you were a kid and we used to have Super 8 movies and you'd thread them through the projector, and then you'd see a little bit of the scene from the before, and then it would go forward. So when the film breaks, now we're going backwards until October. So everything you thought you were going to do, the planets are now saying, "Are you absolutely sure?" And you got to answer the absolutely sure part until we get to October. And then they go, "All right, now let's go forward." So some stuff you're going to keep, but some stuff you're going to get rid of. And of course, with Mercury in its retrograde shadow, you're going to hear from your ghosts. You're going to hear from people from your past who want to tell you something. And you go, "I don't know that I really wanted to hear that. Thanks for sharing, though." You know,
Right.
especially because Mercury's on a hammer of Thor. Like, what
Mhm, mhm,
happened? What do you mean my husband had an affair with you? It's like,
mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time to kinda go back and, but to notice that it's also a time when we tend to flagellate ourselves over things we did in the past,
Right.
you know, and hurt them and be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that, and don't should yourself. If the past comes up, can I heal something? Do I have to fix anything? And what I would do differently next time rather
Hmm.
than let me hurt myself because that was so bad or let me
Right.
be mad at them because that was so bad. Like, well, what are we going to do with it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Someone mentions here on our list that they always stub toes and hurt their hands during Mercury retrograde. It's so easy to do. I spill coffee dramatically. We all have, and I can't tell a joke for love or money because I always put the punchline at the beginning. It's so like, it's an interesting pattern that just, the more we can make it a dance of attention, the better.
Right. Mhm.
So,
Mark,
and
what did you
mhm,
think about the week ahead?
mhm.
Well, I'm watching that Mercury. I do think that's going to be a lot of fun for
Hmm.
it to station. We've already enjoyed it in Leo, and now we get it like really burns its way into your mind.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Great old stories. Get people
Yeah,
when they get difficult, start getting them telling old stories.
Hmm.
Now, Venus and Mars are square and both in Mercury ruled signs. So that's going to be add some difficult twists to relationships. It's easy to misunderstand or missay or forget to ask for what you need and think you've said it. So slow everything down, make sure they heard what you intended
Hmm.
and that listen to what they did here and kind of slow down, don't make anybody wrong, just see
Hmm.
if you can straighten those out. And if people are irritating you with that, those are very easily irritated aspects that
Hmm.
Venus and Mars square. Kind of take a break and bring your mind consciously to something positive, because it's the minds and the emotions are deeply enmeshed this week.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, they really are. And it also is complicated. There's a lot of what we call quintiles, which are health aspects, which are tied to the emotions processing. So I've had people be like, "Oh, I'm just so nauseous," or "Oh, I'm so constipated," or "So I'm so," and I'm all, I always
Mars and
remember
Virgo.
Louise Hay.
Hmm.
Well, Louise
Hmm.
Hay's like, "What do you, you've got a bladder infection. What are you pissed off at?"
Hmm.
And so this is a good
What's the
week for
metaphor in the body?
what's the
Hmm.
metaphor? The body, because the body never lies. It tries to talk to us, and it always remembers. So, kind of, if you're having health stuff, kind of go into what would my body? What's it trying to tell me about that? Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
a
And
journey indeed. Yeah.
Mark, your body said you were bit by a tick, but you got
yeah,
dealing with that. The
Hmm.
world's not. Have you had any health? Dealt with that right away and got the medicine needed. But
yeah. And it was very straightforward. I think
mhm,
that's Mercury in a fixed sign.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's easy to establish what's going on and what's needed and
Hmm.
move on to the next thing.
Yeah. 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 That's a nice part of Mercury in a fixed sign. Because you'd
and
like, yeah, you got bit by a tick, and I'm gonna guess it was engorged because it's red, right? Mercury in fire. So,
Yeah, it
and you were
wasn't
like,
long
yep,
before.
it got me. So then it gave me something. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so I wanted to look at Gavin Newsom's card. Governor of California, because he has been so in the news and leading so feistily and fierily into the future. He looks like he's a handsome guy, could be president, but all of his planetary lines, when you look at the astrocartography, are on keep him give him power on the west coast, and he has one nodal axis going through um, in through DC, but not much strength there. So I just kind of aware of that process. It's interesting when we look at his, Libra with the Virgo rising. So when he's critical, his Virgo, Pluto on the Virgo ascendant is, ready to roar, with, strong support for public health that back here. Mars in Sagittarius and the moon in Capricorn. He's done some really good infrastructure changes. But his ability to appeal to the world is different. His progressed moon right now is up there in Cancer and it's in the 10th house, but it's gonna that's in more protective. What we're looking for when we find someone who leads well is someone who is as active for what they want as they are against. But his chart is a stronger critic than it is leader. It doesn't mean that it couldn't be leader, but that's what I'm seeing. What do you see, Anne?
well, yeah, I mean, the Virgo rising makes a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
I've
Back to
never
this
seen
one.
its chart. I've never seen his chart before, but
Hmm.
also, um, the ambivalence about him with the part of fortune at the top in Gemini. People like him or don't. He's born on an
Hmm.
eclipse, so he's got a life
Hmm.
where he's not 100% in charge of stuff. And he's got when he gets mad, and we've seen it lately with the Venus and the Pluto and the Ceres and the Uranus all answering to
And
his Mercury
yeah,
and
Mercury and
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Yeah.
We've seen it, and then the Capricorn, that deadly, he gets deadly serious. And so the moon and Cap also gives an essential seriousness to the person that's hard for them to. They're not light. They're not
Mhm.
easy. So it's
Mhm.
not easy for him necessarily. But he's smart as smart goes. So that part I
Yep.
like. But
Mhm.
also, right now he is really being picked on. When you showed his chart for the transits,
Mhm.
he's
Mhm.
definitely getting kind of beaten up a bit. And he's about to
Yes.
have his Saturn return. So he's got
Mhm.
Saturn in the seventh. So we all
Mhm.
know who he is. And of course, I remember thinking when the fires were happening in January, the West Coast always brings us everything. So California's on fire. We're all going to be on fire. And we are now seeing the battle being pitched with the Saturn and the Neptune in his seventh
Mhm.
house of open enemies, with the ice
Mhm.
people coming with riding the horses in the park and chasing kids through the fields. And he doesn't really have any ability to stop them, um, unfortunately. But what we really are witnessing, what happens to California, will soon happen to the rest of us, and
Right.
that's the helpful part. He's pointing out and he's criticizing, which is good because nothing pisses off Taco than being criticized. So,
And he's so good at it.
mhm,
The there's the old medieval system that if you have the chart of the leader, then you have the chart of the land. And it often, I've seen that when you look at the astrocartography of the president, you often see where the trouble spots are that the country will be involved. But we really see his power base is strong on the West Coast. His, you know, and I just would love to see his voice, his critique coming through, and let us see what he's actually done to help that. California has by itself the fourth largest economy in the world,
mhm,
just by itself.
right,
So, and it's got more people than any most 10 states put together.
right,
So we're going to go back to another one of our clients. Everybody, I put out the call for new charts, and we're about 20 some deep at the moment. So we're going to work on that backlog, and we love hearing from you. We will get to everybody. If anything's an emergency, book an appointment with us, one of us. But otherwise, we will get to you in the order to which you came through. And this chart from Melbourne is, and the story behind that, tu- 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 tu, and feeling stuck and directionless. Would like some help with that, and to make something happen with it. Um, a big note. This is a recent big career change, and when will it look like they're bringing in new income? Any other notable transits would be helpful too. What I'm seeing with Melbourne is you know that that moon and sun, I don't know what the new career is, but that new moon, born on a new moon in Sagittarius, and not this year but next year, Saturn and Neptune trine those tightly into the 8th house and from the 12th. So I have a feeling, and that's about other people's resources, you being able to access other people's resources. That was the first thing I noticed.
mhm,
What do you say about recent career change? We know with Venus up there at the top of the chart, her career means a lot.
right. And also,
Yeah.
Pluto was dancing over her midheaven there. Yeah,
Mhm,
Mark.
mhm,
Mark? What do you say?
Well, I see a lot of ability to negotiate things. Like you're a good negotiator, and you want to use that to get yourself unstuck. So work with other people, say what it is you can do, adjust it, and get other people to make their adjustments. That's what you'll be good at, is
mhm, mhm,
seeing what if someone else would just move their position 10 degrees that way, then everything would work. And you can
Mhm,
see that and you can present it to them. And
You may not always
again,
do it tactfully, though.
yeah,
The tact might be
exactly.
the one thing.
That's the problem, is the tact. You got to learn to
Mhm,
use that. Otherwise, people get resentful.
mhm,
Um, because you're not wrong. It's just that
mhm.
they resent your being right. So it's a delicate talent to develop and use, but it's there.
That progressed moon in Pisces, it softens some of the intensity of the chart, which can make you a bit more diplomatic for the work ahead. And I would say
And
lean into that softness, that your directness is your gift and your challenge. And to, with Sagittarius, I've come, both President Trump and Stephen Miller have their moon in Sagittarius. And
Mhm.
before this, I always said, Sagittarius is truth, wants truth. But I've seen so many cases, a few cases, where they want their own truth rather than are looking for what is concrete truth, what's fact.
Mhm.
So with that Sagittarius, you have to want to know the truth. And if you want to know the truth, you're a hell of an investigator with that Pluto Mars in
yeah,
Scorpio. But you have to want to know, not try to validate your position, but really want to know the truth. If you can do that, this is pretty unstoppable focus.
Yeah.
And
And
what do you
also,
see?
well, also because you were born in 89, you were born with the Saturn Neptune conjunction in your chart. So that is
Mhm,
partly why you're feeling kind of stuck right now, because Saturn and Neptune are trying to get together and they got close. They got within 18 minutes of each other this summer, but they're not married yet. They get married next February 20th. And
mhm,
so at that point, you kind of, the stuck, it's like parts will unstick as you go because the progressed moon will be in on them in 9 months. And so we're looking at you're in a building trial period right now, and you're having a natal excitation of your purpose on Earth because we incarnate between 8 and 9. So you're coming in for a Jupiterian purpose. You're having a Jupiter return this year, which starts a new 12-year cycle. And then you're
mhm,
going to have Saturn and Neptune meeting up in February at the same time that progressed moon gets there. So
mhm,
we're
mhm,
looking at this is your setup in your launch period in terms of direction and timing and forward motion. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, you're going to be feeling a little blocked this year. It's just kind of part of the energy. And also a lot of it is sometimes we have to wait for other people to be ready to go forward with us. And because you have no planets in houses 1 and 2, you don't have the steering wheel of the car. You wait until you're invited and then you get to go forward. So that whole, like, I'm not in charge. It's like, nope, not in charge with this chart. It takes you where it wants you to go, but you're not actually driving the car. So that's the other part. It can feel a little frustrating this year. So,
mm. So, and Karen, also from Australia, it's so wonderful to get all these people from Australia. That the question here um, was about the just wanting to know what's going on with their chart. And do we have any comments on this? Another Sagittarius, also from Australia, with the Moon in Aries conjunct Mars, but a Capricorn rising, so Venus on the ascendant. So people don't always see all that fire inside, or all that intuition, or all that focus with the Mercury in Scorpio. What do you see for Karen?
well, she just finished a Pluto transit. So,
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine lying on the floor kind of exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and being like, all right, I'm done. I need to lay on the floor and recover for a while. You know those cartoons where they're trying to get the dog to walk and the dog lays down. She's got
Mm-hmm.
Pluto and Vesta, so definitely a big year for a move, and or trining Vesta, so it's a good opportunity for a move, and a good opportunities for some new foundational work. And Jupiter is going to be in her sixth house, so this can be very, very busy work year because she's got Jupiter going through the sixth, which is all about getting stuff done. And because Jupiter is the ruler of her Sag planets, and she is Jupiter in the first, there's an acceleration this year when Jupiter's really pushing
Mm-hmm.
her to take
Mm-hmm.
new action. And she's not somebody that likes to sit around anyway with that Moon
Mm-mm.
Mars in the fourth.
Mm-mm.
So the trine and fire will feel much more effective because you've been really being blocked by that Pluto
Mm-hmm.
on your
Mm-hmm.
Venus and your ascendant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're coming out of that deeply blocked time, and your progress moon's still in Pisces for a while. You've got about another year and a half to do the deep work. There's all kinds of new beginnings coming up. So kind
Mm-hmm.
of continue that instead of feeling blocked for the forward, like what is this time good for? Because and how can I use this kind of slower time and sensitive time to heal, prepare, and reorganize for a big push coming up in the years ahead.
And as that push comes in, you're going to feel that it was worth waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And here is Natalie, who she sent her chart in months ago, and we missed it. So we're trying to get back to it. And she just wants to generalize what's going on with her. Capricorn, she's been so patient. Moon, Neptune conjunction in Libra has been squaring her nodes, very patient with us during this process. Um, what would you, uh, what, what do you see there here for her?
So just a general, what's going on with her? Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
I'd say
Uh,
her progressed moon, just quick, is up in Gemini, about to conjunct Jupiter. But let's go back to the chart we can read.
mhm.
It's hard to read those triple charts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I noticed is the Capricorn moon and the sixth they always have to wait. Even if they put their hand up first, somebody else jumps in front of them. So
Capricorn
sorry,
sun, yep.
sorry, Natalie, you had to wait. But I'm glad you're back. Uranus on the south
hmm
node.
hmm
Lots of
hmm
dream energy this year with Jupiter going through your
hmm
12th.
hmm
You just had a Jupiter return, so you're setting up what you're going to be doing for the next 12 years from 72 to 84. So kind of dream big. This is when Saturn steps to the front and he says, "Okay, let's go." And of course, you have a somber Saturn in Sag, or somber Saturn in somber Saturn in Scorpio. That's what I'm trying to
hmm
get to. But also, as you begin this new chapter, it kind of invites you to look afresh at your life and figure out what you want to do. Charts kind of promised a long life. So, when you go, Ann, what am I going to do 72 to 84? I'm like, you got a lot of energy in this chart. And it's sustainable energy with the Mars Saturn conjunction. It doesn't, it's a chart that performs over time. It's
hmm
the tortoise and the hare. You're the steady Eddie, you keep going there. So I'm really curious to see what you do in this year is a dream year, figuring out what you're looking for. And then when Jupiter gets to your ascendant in the October time frame, it's going to station right on your node of fate. And it's going to say, here's what we're doing. And if you think about when you turned 35, when you turned 48, when you turned 24, the year after you had those birthdays, you brought in a whole new life. And so that's what you're doing this year. So that's what I see. Mark?
Yeah, you have the Neptune Moon combination
Mhm.
that it works in times like this for you. You bring out kind of the best in them. Neptune with the moon and with Mars nearby really make a tough kind of emotional hookup to things. You tend to get drawn in. You think that things are going a certain way. You make your plans on it, and then it shifts. And then you get more of a Mars Saturn energy. And they insist on doing something, and you can't find somebody to do it with. So you end up being frustrated. But give yourself the time. That's Saturn really deals with time, and Saturn with Mars helps Mars to be timely about things. So Mars wants to always jump in, but Saturn says, wait, timing is important. So listen to that.
And that's oh, not the wrong one. Here we go. Um, I see with your progressed moon conjuncting Jupiter in Gemini. What a wonderful time to start bringing in new people. You've got that Saturn Neptune squaring your Venus on and off for the next 2 years. There's a real shift in who's in your heart life, who your friends are, who's in your groups, and that forming compassionate action. You're usually the most competent person in the group. Uh, which can be a little tiring for a Capricorn. But it's really good to like finding other people that you're working on a project with, or showing your heart by doing good works together. It would be it's a great way for you to connect with new people, meet new people, even if it's for an afternoon, but it brings in new life force. That uh, line up in Gemini in the 11th house, as there's new people coming in, even as our difficulties with some of your old friends. And good luck on
Mhm.
that.
And notice
So
today the sun is on the south node, so you got your reading with us, Natalie.
finally,
Yay!
and back to today, we're at the closure. I just, while Mercury's stationary, slow and easy, thoughtful, meditative, and enjoy the slapstick along the way. So if you can find it funny, a Mercury retrograde can keep us laughing, even as we have to deal with some real issues around us.
Yeah.
And Mark, can you take us out with or Anne, would you like to close? And then Mark, would you like to do a short meditation?
Okay.
Well, we're going to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to say
Have a good
goodbye.
Mercury station. Pay attention to what you hear. It's on a world point. Very important information coming in. Mark,
Yeah,
go for it.
Hmm.
take a look and see where this Mercury stationing is in your
Hmm.
chart,
Hmm.
and use that energy this week. Mercury in Leo, 15 degrees.
Hmm.
Where is that in your chart? And it's yours to use.
Hmm.
And so Ann Ortley signing off from my bed in Florida.
And Mark Waltz signing off from New York City, where we're in control of the floods
Hmm.
so far, just barely.
Hmm.
And Heather?
And good. Um, and this is Heather Roan Robbins signing off from Ronan, Montana.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
Goodbye.
all.
Have a good time. Bye. Pay attention to the message.